Good morning, everybody. Appreciate y'all guys all being on here. Had a good day today. With physical practice. Continued on with our situation emphasis. Were able to get a couple series at the end. Continued to like the growth that I'm seeing. Offense is continuing to respond. I think we're getting a better sense of some of the things our guys are doing well. I think the ownership and understanding of what they're being asked to do is improving daily. Still a lot of fundamental and technique things that we have to get cleaned up and have to continue to grow and implement throughout the course of practice. But went back-to-back, pretty tough and challenging days. Really pushing these guys, their overall mindset, and conditioning level. This has been a challenging camp in regards to that aspect of it because unlike any other time that in my lifetime that we've truly come off a team without mandatory workouts for over 4 months, and a lot of different circumstances with the COVID, the quarantine. It is challenging, and so getting these guys back up to football playing condition is a part of the process. We've been really, I think, wise with them, allowing them to kind of work through camp. Some of the concerns with soft tissue muscles, different things that have shown up. I know you see across the country, and even in the NFL, different injuries or things that pop up. I mean, that's been a major concern. It's something we did a lot of study on, throughout the quarantine on the plan that we wanted to implement coming back. I think we've done a really nice job. Coach Storms, Jake. I mean, those guys have really, I think, put together a good plan, and we've tried to adjust within our practices. But now we have to get to that point where we can go out and play a game here in the next few weeks. So we're just continuing to build upon that. I think these last 2 days were good practices. It's going to set up for a good, well-needed day off tomorrow, and then we'll come back to work with the plan for the weekend. Friday, Saturday, light day, Sunday, and then back off on Monday. So this is a time that hopefully we'll be able to get our legs back a little bit, but still continuing on our progression to where we need to get to.
First question will be Brendan Seminoles, 247.
Hey Mike, how's it going?
Going well up yourself.
Good, thanks. So you mentioned kind of getting guys in shape with soft tissue injuries and avoiding them. How big has the GPS system been in kind of monitoring that? Is that something you did previously at Memphis, or is that new for you?
Well, we had it in a very limited capacity this past year, and so really right now, we are basically taking in all the data. We're getting a daily report, trying to break things up into basically 3-day segments, but getting a daily report on the physical exertion that these guys are putting into it. And I can tell you, we're putting in quality repetitions, quality workloads. But for us, this first year is going to be as much of trying to get understanding of what our desired, output is. I mean, we work in practice. There's not a whole lot of standing around, and so these guys, it's different than it's been in the past from previous data that has been collected here because the workload is a little bit different. So we're just we're going to work our way through trying to find what the ideal what those ideal numbers are for us. I can tell you that I know that count through years of kind of implementing this practice structure, what it should look like. So we've adjusted that some, especially with the quarantine. But I feel good about where we are and obviously where we'll be going. But it's different for these guys, and they're doing a good job trying to match that level, and we're pushing the expectations.
Hey, Chris, with the eligibility changes with the NCAA not counting this year, no matter how much guys play, does that change your preparation in any way in terms of guys who maybe you wouldn't want to burn a red shirt or might not be able to use more than a few games this season? Now there's no really harm in terms of an eligibility standpoint?
Yeah, that's a great question. It doesn't necessarily change the preparation. It just opens the availability. And, there's going to be guys that, you think might fit a certain role or a certain spot within maybe a special teams unit or this personnel package that if that was all they were going to do, you don't know if you would use that year for just that that responsibility. But now when you have that potential, it definitely opens up a lot of doors, and so we're excited about that rule, and it's just for guys in their development, it's been impressive. I can tell you, bringing it upon that question. We've made a couple position changes this week. Isaiah Bolden is moving to receiver. That's something that I'm actually really excited about. He's worked the last 2 days, or I guess 2 or 3 days, there at the position and starting to pick it up. Had a really big play today. He's been a returner, has had the ball in his hands, but I think he has a chance to help impact this team. But even a decision like that, you look long term. I mean, this year, I think he has a chance to help impact this team. But knowing that this year's not necessarily going to count due to eligibility, it provides a lot of opportunity for development as well for some of these guys. And so, I mean, it's something just to long term you also get to think about.
Next to go, Matt Baker from Tampa Bay Times.
Hey, Mike, can you kind of elaborate on what about Isaiah's skill set makes you think he'd be good at that position?
Tall, fast. Right, go with the ball in his hands. I mean, Isaiah is a really good athlete, and he is. And I really like the young man a lot too. He has a passion for this football team. He wants to be the best, the best player that he can be, and he's obviously with some of the addition that we have in the defensive backfield. There's a lot of competition there, and he was doing a good job. But I think that, just looking at our football team, he's done a great job as a returner, and I think he can make an impact there on the offensive side of the ball. So I presented it to him. Something that, is pretty impressive about the young man. He goes, "Coach, whatever I can do to help this football team win games is what I want to be a part of." And I told him, just like I told any player, when you look at potential switching a position, I mean, we're looking for what's best for them as well. I mean, it can help our football team win games, but also looking at their future and what I think can help allow them to achieve the goals and desires that they have. I mean, that's something I always take into account as well. And so I didn't call to tell him he was doing it. I called and asked him what his thoughts were. And I'll tell you, after 3 days, I like what I see.
Next will be Gene Williams from Norvell.
Hey, Coach. You mentioned earlier that tomorrow's a day off, and I'm assuming, probably safely so, that it's not a day off for you and the coaching staff. So what will you be doing tomorrow? How will you utilize your time? I guess will part of that be towards making personnel decisions? I mean, how close are you to getting that depth chart, that starting unit set up?
Well, first thing, I'm gonna take my daughter to school in the morning. That'll be number one, which I'm looking forward to that. But then it's gonna be a little mixed bag tomorrow. We're going to. Personnel decisions has been a constant. So I mean that Sunday we had long extensive talks. Going to continue to update that this week, and it will occur here at the end of the week as well as we try to hone in. But every day we're working our personnel and trying to put guys in best position just so we could not wasting a day. But then we're also going to get a little jump start into early game planning for Georgia Tech. There's a lot of work that went in through the quarantine over a variety of different opponents. Georgia Tech was not one of those, and so now that they are the season opener, we'll get some time to be able to study them and just get some early preliminary thoughts. But just even through the rest of this week, I mean, all our focus is going to be on our continued development and working on our guys and just finding the things that we are doing best and the different variations and ways that we can showcase that.
Next will be Chris Nee from Knowles 247.
Hey, Mike, is Isaiah Bolden the only position change that you've gone through with in this past week, or are there instituted?
No, I mean I think right now, off the top of my head, that's the biggest one, and we're going to look at a lot of different things. I think as we get into our more specialized personnel packaging, I mean we're gonna evaluate a lot of different guys. Last week we were able to get into some of our fullback package game plan things. We had being able to move DJ Lundy over there, Amani Kerr got some reps. I mean, but DJ looked really good in his first couple of days of being able to do that. So there's gonna be some other things that we're looking at. Tight end, possibilities. That'll always be something that we do, and it'll kind of always evolving.
Next will be Kurt Weiler from Tallahassee Democrat.
Hey, Coach, as you're trying to find, like you talked about the group of 8 offensive linemen you kind of know you can count on. How many guys would you say right now kind of solidly in that group? How much of that group you have figured out?
Well, I mean, it's a daily work in progress. I feel good about the guys that we're getting to coach. I think that we're not playing a game tomorrow, but we need to have that. We need to have that growth as if we were, and that sense of urgency. But I feel good about where we are in our progression every day. Especially the last 3 days, I've seen some great strides, and those guys are believing in what they're being asked to do, and they're getting coached. I think Alex is doing a phenomenal job with them, and so I don't want to necessarily put a number on that right now, but I feel good about the competition we have.
We'll go back to Ira from Moortown.
When you hired Coach JP, obviously, he had success in special teams at his previous institutions. But is special teams one of those things where every school kind of does things the same way, or did you have to kind of find out how he did things and merge it with what you do? What was that process like?
Well, I think JP is a wonderful football coach all around. I mean, you look at his career. I mean, the number of years that he's been a coordinator, whether it's defensive coordinator, special teams coordinator, great teacher, wonderful with his relationships. I think that I had a sense of his overall understanding of how he operated. I mean, we actually had our first conversation years back. I think it was 6-7 years ago that that's where I got to understand a little bit of his philosophy. And he's always a guy who's kind of in the back of my mind that if the right opportunity present itself, that there would be a great option. And when we came here, I was able to talk to him a little bit more in depth about my vision for special teams and what I want that to be. And it was hand in hand together. But he's a great teacher, very passionate about what he does. To answer your question, no, not everybody does things the same way. And it is a unique approach here, and it is that's what I love about being a part of special teams, and I loved it when I was even offensive coordinator, because that's where you get a chance to be around the entire team. You get to see the build a culture of what your organization is going to look like through those units, because it takes offense, defense, a mindset. I mean, that's the heartbeat of this program, and the better that we are in that, the better we'll be on defense, the better we'll be on offense. So I think he's doing a wonderful job with it.
Go back to Brendan from Knowles 247.
Mike, after I think this past scrimmage, maybe even the first one, if I remember correctly, you mentioned Deontay Williams is kind of flashing. What has he been doing well through camp so far, and what does he bring to the defense?
He's definitely. He brings a pass rush ability that I like. He's been able to get to the quarterback. He's still consistently learning. He's been off. One of the things that's kind of challenging for him is he's been out for a few years, and getting back and playing the game, getting in condition. Just that day in and day out approach. But he's a great young man. I think he has some explosiveness that shows up, and he just continued to work on that consistency of a play in, play out, mindset. And but I think he's got a chance to help us this year.
Hey, Mike, it hasn't officially been announced yet, but it looks like North Carolina State and Virginia Tech, they're going to have to move their game back a couple weeks because of an outbreak at NC State. I'm curious, what's your reaction to that? Does that give you any sort of pause about your optimism for the season, or is that just kind of something that you would have expected at some point?
No, I mean, I think when you look at this year, I think the ACC did a really nice job in the scheduling with the opportunities of bye weeks, of being able to have some flexibility if there was something like that occurred. And we all want it to go as smooth as possible, but nobody can see the future, and there's no no pre-laid plan or understanding what that's going to look like. But you're going to have to adapt and adjust. We talked to our guys, just leaving the field. Last thing I talked to them about was just the continued sacrifice for where they're going, what they're doing, what they're willing to sacrifice to play this game that we love. And so it is a challenge. But I think that the plan that's in place is one that I've got a ton of confidence in. And it was great. President Thrasher came out to practice today and got to see him. And man, we have tremendous leadership, and he is it was great getting a chance just to visit with him, and the optimism that we have, and just the plan that they have in place for the university. It's just I'm very confident.
Next will be Aslan Hajimandi from Warcamp.
Now that you're in the 20-hour weeks, how different is this week and next week going to be versus what you'll try to get accomplished game week?
You miss out. You miss out on the evening meetings. The extra walkthrough. But it's really there's not a whole lot of change when it comes to the practice aspect of it. But we try to be as organized as we can, and sending letting guys get their corrections and know the things that we need to improve on, and just being able to share that information as much as we possibly can with them. And it takes we talk about sacrifice, and guys, they have the choice of what they want to be able to do on their own. If there's any additional growth or extra study that they want to do, this is where they get to make the difference. It comes down to those little things, and it's a time for them to be able to live it out. And as coaches, we're continuing to maximize that time with personnel decisions, personnel development, continue to look at and evaluate the schemes of where we are, kind of our self-scout through practice, but also whenever we can get a little time to look ahead, just continue to have that plan for a future opponent.
The last one will be Gene from Warcamp.
Hey, Coach, just want to get an update on DJ Matthews, and is he back out there, and I guess how's he going after missing some time?
He is not, and DJ and I, we've talked last week sometime, and you're kind of going through his process, but he's not out at practice.